Well, I'm overwhelmed because I assumed that many of you might not have known Rip very well, but so many of you did. I know you performed with him here, you directed him, you coached him in his singing, and you helped him with his choreography, and you enjoyed his camaraderie. And I think everybody now knows that Rip passed away in December. It was a hideously horrible disease, melanoma in the brain. And it was an incredible funeral, and if you missed it, I have it on video, thanks to Keith. He ran 3 cameras that afternoon, and he did a wonderful job of editing it. And I know several people looked around at me when they sang Always Look on the Bright Side, because we did sing that in the sanctuary, including that wonderful word that I won't repeat. But Rip was extraordinarily generous with his time, and God, he loved civic theater. I think he loved it more than he loved me. And he encouraged so many people to get involved with the theater. Remember Keonga Kelly in Dreamgirls? He's the one who talked her into auditioning for that show. And she loved the experience tremendously. And when we first moved here, Rip saw the exhibit at Bank of the Arts that Mitch Lewis had created, the genocide exhibit, and just happened to offer to film the exhibit for Mitch, helped craft the words that Mitch would say to narrate the film, and that launched that exhibit and got it on its way to other venues in other cities. And he worked with Epiphany students to help them create a documentary about good neighbors after the hurricane came through New Bern. He edited films for me of speakers at our Rotary meetings and put them up on Channel 3. He worked on the Heart Ball for 3 years. He crafted the materials to make those auction items shine. He broadened the scope of the Heart Ball and interviewed heart survivors, and he was the one who wrote all those articles in the paper about these heart disease survivors. And he actually never had time to sit with me at the event and enjoy his meal because he was behind the scenes. I kind of resented that. He participated in Ratio Theater's very successful Dancing with the Stars, and he worked so hard on his choreography because, quite frankly, he was afraid that Linda Staunch would outshine him. And she did. However, through his fundraising skills, he came in second that evening because of the money he raised, and Linda Staunch was third. He helped so many people with video and Facebook and websites, and I really want to share with you how much he was involved in the arts, not only in civic theater, but in this whole community at large. And he helped really put New Bern on the map in the short time that he was here. And I'm really thankful I'm not crying right now. That is the best part of all. Because what happens is with people like Rip, we overlook them all the time. And we aren't really aware of the hundreds of hours that they dedicate to civic theater, to Ratio Theater when it was around, to Rivertown, to Bank of the Arts, to all kinds of medium here in New Bern. And sometimes it's important to recognize those people and honor them, and that's why we are here tonight, to recognize a wonderful individual who, actually, I think the award should be named after this person and not Rip, quite frankly, but thank goodness he's still alive and around. So, Derek?
And Debbie, this is not on my notes because I don't do this, but I just want you to know, like, when we did 1776, Catherine Morris and I were the 2 youngest in there, and Rip was one of the only ones to make us feel welcome from the beginning of that. That's amazing. Okay. In 2005, my best friend, Von Lewis, told me about auditions for this new company in town called the Serendipity Players. He took me, we went, and Von will attest, we were sitting in the lobby, and the door would open, and you would hear this cackle from the auditorium. And for about 15 seconds, you would hear the cackle, the person would walk out smiling, somebody would go in. I'm like, it was a little nerve-wracking, but we did it, you know. Because of that audition, I formed some friendships that have lasted me a lifetime. Vaughn and I became so close. Devin, Clark, Tiffany Springle, I still call them daily. I love them. And it's because of this man. The Serendipity Players introduced me to one of the greatest men I've ever met. Whether it was bringing to life a comic strip on stage with Masonic, a magic show with a pretty fantastic leading player, Fat Waller's Life here, or Bohemian Life in New York twice, he did it, and he did it beautifully. I never get tired of hearing the words, it's an organic process. Creating people's stage picture. But you hear it a lot, and it'll get on your nerves, but I love it. I was honored to direct my first show in 2009, and we lost our main cast member about 2.5 weeks before we opened. I called John. On my last leg, I was like, John, I need some help. John came in 2 weeks, learned this part, and not only learned it, but acted it and told this story of this man. And I have never thanked you, and I can't thank you enough, because without you, that wouldn't have happened. So. There are so many other things to say about John Van Dyke, but we don't have all night.
We do have a video, though.
But we do have a video.
I have never met somebody that is so involved when it comes to the arts. He's involved at both theaters. He's constantly doing jazz shows, constantly promoting music, constantly working with other people and fostering other people's talent.
He not only directs plays, not only performs in plays, but has these side projects like the jazz and just the arts in general. The guy is so passionate about it.
I almost feel cool knowing him. It's like, yeah, I know John, Yeah, it's my buddy,
He's quite a character, in a good sense. Sometimes we may clash heads a little bit, two musical people, of course. It always works out for the best in the end, and he's just a great guy.
He's the reason that I'm, back in the theater today. He had faith in me, and I thank him all the time. Thank you for believing in me.
I was directing my first show here in 2009. Gentleman playing the lead bowed out about 2 weeks before the show. I called John. John, hey. No hesitation, stepped in, came to rehearsal that night, learned a lead role in a show, and really saved that show. I can never repay him for that.
When I cast the show, John originally didn't want to play the part of Zaza. He saw himself more as the part of George. And I think he surprised himself. He really didn't know that he had that in him. And we joked because we said that we were going to have to deprogram him after the show was over because he became Zaza. He loved every minute of it. His passion for the character drove the passion for everybody else on that stage.
When I was with Ratio Theater, John did, I think, 1 or 2 shows for Ratio. Always gave everything 110% and always demanded better of himself.
He honestly treats everyone as an equal, and he sees something special in every person.
He looks at people and he can see them for what their potential is. He can see them for where they can go. He can see them for how he can teach them.
John's love makes you grow as a person. I have way more confidence in myself. I've gone to see him sing at Christos. Every single time he has nothing but amazing things to say about everybody else, but humbles himself and says, "Oh, I suck." But it's not true. He just brings out the best in everyone.
What I needed from John was not the perfect show. What I needed was for the cast to dip into their humanity and feel it and then pass that on to the audience. And nobody does that better than John. John knows how to pull the human out of you.
He will give the same amount of attention to someone who has been doing this for the past 50 years to the person who just started it yesterday.
John is very good about having you be in the moment and being present on stage and responding to people that are on stage as well.
And he will take it and mold you if he needs to, but he respects the artistry in you.
I would say that John Van Dyke is a huge influence in my life, especially in jazz music. Taught me everything I need to know about singing with a band and how to talk to musicians and how to build a rep.
He started Serendipity Players, and at that time, the young people were me, Vaughn Lewis, Justin Cornway, Jessica Rhodes, and he really took a hand in crafting our talent. And then let's look at Ain't Misbehavin'. Brought a whole new group of people. You can put the camera down on Rent right now. You have people like Molly, Caleb Swindell, Tori Yore. He has literally brought in a new generation almost with every show. And that's something that not all directors can do.
If there is someone who's never done a show before, I'm floored when I find out, because he is so good at just pulling that one little spark that he sees in somebody, just pulling it out.
It wasn't until 2011 that I got back into the arts myself, and he was one of the key people that really pulled me back into it. I mean, it really started with seeing him on the deck doing his jazz thing, and I just asked if I could get up and sing a song, and he welcomed me with open arms, and he sort of took me under his wing in a way.
I think without him coming into this town and really kind of jolting the community theater scene into new ideas, I think it would have taken a lot longer to be doing things like Rent and that kind of stuff.
I don't think a day goes by without him telling everyone in his cast that he loves them 100 times over.
He's a cheerleader for the entire artistic scene, and that just sparks the desire and inspires everybody else to do their best.
John is human. He's about as human as you could possibly get. There's no one more human than John Van Dyke.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. I don't know what to say. This is that was just a little bit too much for me, but thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for giving me a playground where I can have fun and realize my dreams. I think that's what we all do in theater, isn't it? We have a little dream, and then, you know, a couple of months down the line, our dream comes out on the stage. And luckily for me, it's usually pretty darn nice. And it's never what I imagined to begin with. It's always the dream that comes together with everybody that's involved. And that's what, I guess, if there was something special about me, it's just that I see that in you guys. And I like to see you form something beautiful. And it pisses some people off because they're like, well, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, what are you going to do? Just do. That's good. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me a playground. Thank you.